of the show, so that everyone knows what I'm
Right.
eating, and they could, you know, run out to Tim Hortons and get the same breakfast as me and eat along with me if they want to.
Oh,
Tim Hortons it's all over the world, right?
It's genius. Yeah, no, they should have no problems finding Tim Hortons regardless of where they live.
Awesome. Okay.
For the people on my channel, I'll just quickly say this is going to be extremely low quality, low effort content.
Oh yeah, I'm in a bathrobe also.
I'm not. I'm in a shirt.
Yes,
I'm in a shirt with the equivalent of a bathrobe, and you could purchase this shirt at Luckless's channel.
Oh, you're wearing my shirt?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the first thing I saw this morning. I was like, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
That's awesome. Yeah, so this is very informal. We literally don't prepare at all. I'm just gonna read. I'm on PC Gamer. I assume you're on PC Gamer.
I am totally there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, you know, bring up a story. We'll read a bit of it, or maybe just, you know, react to the headline. You know, and we'll just talk about games.
We should just look at the pictures. It'd be way easier, probably.
Okay. Actually, that's a good idea. We could cover the titles of the stories and just guess what they are based on the picture.
Yeah. I mean, some of them I could probably do. Yeah.
So we're gonna start off by getting a full review of Fallout 4 Far Harbor from Christopher on, because he's played the game a lot.
You want me to review it?
Yeah, you're gonna review it. While I eat.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, no, this is gonna be fantastic. So I did play Fallout 4 for like an hour, so I would say my experience is probably more than, you know, some people. But I guess let me start. So Fallout 4 Far Harbor is the newest DLC, I guess.
I'm just kidding. We're not talking about Fallout 4 Far Harbor.
Come on, I want to talk about it.
You want to talk about it?
I want to talk about it. This is an important monument in gaming history.
It got an 80.
Yeah, that's pretty significant, don't you think?
I think so.
No, I don't really give a shit about Fallout 4. Let's do something else.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Fallout 4. We could talk about Fallout 4 a bit, I guess. I haven't played it, but I feel like it's like too similar to Fallout 3 for me to have really gotten into it. So I just I tend to do that with like a game series. I play a lot of one, and then I kind of don't play the series for a bit, and then get back to it when they've kind of iterated a bit more, and it becomes a bit more interesting. I don't know if you how you feel about game series like that.
My trouble with Fallout 4 is that, like, they're going, at least this was the interpretation that I got. They were going for like this this giant open world, and it's like I went in there and like I didn't give a shit about anybody really. Like I didn't really care about anything. I was like, well, why am I doing this? Like you know what I mean? Like I kind of prefer a game where I have some direction, something that's like consistently propelling me forward, and it's not like I need a story that's on rails all the time. I just don't feel that Fallout 4 really is about that. Fallout 4 is more about I don't even know if exploration is the right word, but it's I don't think. Yeah, I could see that. Delta in the chat is saying the story was okay-ish, but the tasks were very, very repetitive. Yeah, and see, I didn't even get to the repetitive parts. I just was like, man, I'm not into it, so forget it. You know? But that's like, I don't have any more thoughts on Fallout 4, dude. Like, that's it. Are you eating? You're freaking eating right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm eating. I was eating.
That's okay, fine.
This is complicated. I've got push to talk to you. I've got a button to mute myself in my stream. So it's very complicated, and it's early. Like I just woke up. That's why I have a bathrobe on.
Yeah, no, like we did just wake up. The deal was Luckless was going to text at 9 o'clock saying if this was a go or not, and he was like, "Can we get started?" I was like, "Yeah." How about 9:30? He's like, "How about 9:15?" I was like, literally in bed. So, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, what about Doom? So Doom is kind of like the biggest release of the last little. But when did it come out? Like last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to play it? Because I haven't played it yet, but I've heard like amazing things about it.
I actually have played it, and I played it. So here's what I do when I test a game. If I'm like, maybe I'll stream this, maybe I'll play it on the channel. I don't sleep.
I don't sleep in a bathroom. No.
I'll fire it up, and I'll like do my settings or whatever. I'll skip like all the intro videos. I just want to like get into the game like as quick as possible, and then I'll just like dick around for 5 or 10 minutes. And within 5 or 10 minutes, I can usually tell if it's something that I'm gonna like. And with Doom,
did I play any games?
was like 30 minutes later, I was like, okay, I gotta like either stop or like I'm getting too like I don't want to get too far and then have this not be like fresh, right? So I thought that was a pretty good sign, honestly. And hey, Miss Cam the Norwegian, thank you. I thought that was a pretty good sign, and I would definitely go back to Doom like on a live stream. I see some people making like YouTube videos. I just don't think it really suits that nature of video for some reason. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, cool. I know what you're saying.
That's great. I really hope.
Sorry, I was eating. I should tell you what I'm eating. So
it's not very subtle over here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more of like a streamable game because it's action packed, right? The story is like it's there, and I think it suits the purpose of the game in the sense that it's like just crazy, kind of like pulpy, like old school, like very bare bones storytelling. But in terms of like a let's play for your channel, it wouldn't really match. Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. And speaking of that, like not to get like off topic here, but there's been like some comments about like when I was doing the Dark Souls stuff, right? I know you're really into Dark Souls lore and all that kind of stuff, and you followed the story and you've researched the story and all that kind of stuff. For me, like a Dark Souls, the story and the lore is like beyond me. Like it's not something that I comprehend unless I was to go and read some stuff. Some people can figure it out, other people can't, right? And so I kind of like, I feel it sometimes like some people have pigeonholed this games that I do into always having to have like the focus on the story, and it's my own fault because that used to be like literally like a tagline. Yeah, but, well, everything's your fault. Yeah, oh yeah, no, I mean obviously, but there's like games like Doom. It's like I'm not going into Doom to be like, oh okay, so like he did this thing which caused like all these monsters. Like no, I think you're going into Doom to literally just blow up aliens with shotguns. Right, fast-paced action, right, and like and gore so, like, for and game, atmosphere too, right? Fun. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, as for Dark Souls, yeah, you can't. I don't think you can figure out the story on your own. You can interpret it on your own, but there's just like if you try to play the game in a vacuum, you will miss 50% of it or something like that. Like it's just so complicated. There's so many secrets. Totally. There's so many like it's basically like the story is figured out almost like crowdsourcing kind of thing, right? Like you need to share ideas and talk about theories. And the other thing is it's very open-ended. So at the same time as it being like a crowdsourcing kind of story, it's also very personal. Like you can interpret the story as you want to. But that's right, it takes effort, right? Like you have to go out and read stuff, you have to go and watch videos, you have to participate in the community to really kind of get the most out of the story. So yeah, I totally understand why you wouldn't be into it. It takes significant effort in Dark Souls, but so many people are like, well, it's just, there's this, and there's like the undead, and there's this, and there's that. I'm like, how that, like, you know that because of the theories that you've read, and that's why they're like widespread theories, you know? I don't know, we're getting off topic a little bit, but Doom, it reminds me, like, I don't know if you remember, you probably remember playing Doom, like the original Doom. Oh yeah. On like, how did Doom get installed? Was Doom on like floppies, or what was Doom on? CDs? I think it would have been out? Before the. It was right around that time. I can't remember. It might have been floppies. Doom yeah, the first time I installed it was probably on a floppy. Let's see. Doom E1 M1 on 8 floppy drives. Makes sense. No, I think that's like a theme song.
Have original Doom on floppy disk. Yeah, maybe.
It makes sense. It was kind of
the
like
chat
right
know?
before the like CD-ROMs became a thing.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago, and like when that game was out, like our family didn't have a computer that was like a gaming computer. We had like a Nintendo or whatever. But my uncle had a computer that had like Commander Keen and like Jurassic Park. Do you remember the Jurassic Park game? Did you ever play that?
I played one. I'm not sure if I played that one specifically. Was it like a side scroller?
Old Jurassic Park was like the best. This was like in the. Do you remember the Encyclopedia Encarta?
Yeah, Encarta. Yeah, for sure.
Encarta was the shit, and there was like
Yeah.
a mini game in there. Anyways, it was that era, and then Doom came out.
Oh, I thought
and
you were
it
gonna
was like,
tell me the Jurassic Park game was a mini game in Encarta.
No.
Okay.
This is the timeline of life of when Doom came out. And when Doom came out, it was like, oh, this is what video games could be. Like,
it was so amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was like so immersive and like scary too, right? Like if you go back and see the graphics now, you're like, how could that be scary? But you have to realize that at that time there was like, it was completely, well, Wolfenstein came out before that and some other first-person shooters, but like nothing as like gripping and atmospheric as that game was out at that time. It was brand new. So yeah.
And I all of this to say, I think in my 30 minutes of Doom 2016 time, it feels like that feeling that you had when you first started playing Doom.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what's cool is like there's even like the like armor packs that you find on the ground, and I had that like this moment where I was collecting health because I was dying. And then I found this like green suit, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That they brought back like the green suit that charges your shields or whatever from.
Oh, cool.
Like, that's cool. Yeah. So.
Did you play? So when you first played Doom, it was on the PC, right? Because they like ported that to every single console. Like
no, I'd only played it on the PC. I didn't even know it came out on other stuff.
I actually there's a video that I watched. It's like a maybe like 40-minute long documentary on like the history of Doom. On a YouTube channel. I linked it in my chat. I'll throw it into into Discord. It's really good.
Sure. Oh, by the way, I've got a multi-Twitch going here. I just dropped it in the chat. So if you guys want to watch both of us for some
what's up, guys?
You could do that.
Sorry, I'm not talking too much to you. I'm just trying to manage talking with Chris because he doesn't.
Then you can see either chat or whatever. There's a lot of people saying. Oh my god, this is my youth, or like talking about the old like Pentium machines. Do you remember how PCs like? So I didn't get into really like building PCs until I started my channel, like literally, and so like all the old like
Brothers, nice. That's a really good
verbiage for computers. Like I don't really understand, right? Like it's a 286 or it's a Pentium 4. I think Pentium 4 was like a big deal. I remember we were getting a computer and like Pentium 4 stands out to me for some reason. I don't even know if that's true,
that was a big leap. I actually started our family had a Commodore 64, so that's like before Doom, right? And it was just like a disk drive, like a floppy disk drive and a keyboard. That was the whole that was like the whole thing. And so kind of I've been there since like the beginning. And I actually the first system that I played was a ColecoVision.
That's because you're like 1,000 years old.
I'm like 1,000,000 years old. I know.
In cat.
And now I'm doing a stream in a bathrobe. So I've come a long way.
I know. Isn't that crazy, dude? Like I remember my first experience with the internet. I remember the first day that the internet was getting installed at our house, and I was like, holy, this is awesome. We're gonna have internet. Like, nobody has internet. This is the best. And I remember the installation technician saying something to my dad, and he was like, so we're gonna install internet, but there's a few rules that you guys need to follow. I was like, okay. And he was saying, he's like, he's like, the first rule was like, you can look at pornography, but it cannot involve children, and it cannot be bestiality. I was like, what? That literally, that was the technician's like first rule to my dad, and I was like, what? First of all, I didn't even know what bestiality was. We're getting way off topic now, but it's worth it.
So the first thing you looked up when you got onto the internet was what is bestiality?
Get on the internet,
right?
First thing. Dad's like, what are you looking for? I'm like, bestiality.
Of course.
No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that.
What's up, heretic?
But
that's the technician told you that? That's strange.
Yeah, no, but this was like the cutting edge of like internet, right? So
right, bestiality. So what you're saying is bestiality is the cutting edge of internet.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously.
That's a quote, guys.
Obviously, yeah. So, yeah. Delta's like, do you guys remember Yahoo and GeoCities? I totally remember.
Oh yeah,
that,
GeoCities.
But actually,
AOL?
do you remember? No, man. I'm gonna drop this bomb on you, and you're gonna be like, yes, I remember that. Alta Vista.
Yeah. I used to use that all the time. That was like it took all the search engines, right, and like so it searched everything at the same time. Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, it did.
Is that what Alta Vista did? I thought there was another one called Web Crawler that was like.
There was probably multiple versions of the same thing, but that's what the benefit of Alta Vista was. Is it had, like took all the top search engines and just presented you with the results from all of them.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
But before that,
Google.
What about BBSs? Did you ever go on to BBSs?
No, see, that was like before.
That's a precursor.
When I got the internet installed, I want to say I was like 10.
Okay.
10 seem right? I don't know if I was 10. It doesn't matter. I was really young.
Combined 37 search engines,
I
right?
was never into BBSs. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's like my first kind of introduction to the internet. BBSs and MUDs. Have you ever played a MUD before?
No, what's a MUD?
It's like a text-based MMORPG. So it's like, have you ever seen Zork, the text-based adventure game? Where you type in like go east and then you go east. You
I'm
go
looking
into a room.
at something called God Wars.
God Wars?
Looks like it's a MUD.
Yeah, so basically like you go into a room, there's a text comes up that describes the room and if there's monsters or any characters in there. And then you can interact with the different things in the room. Like you say, pick up object, whatever, you know, or attack,
right,
monster, whatever. And then you'll type in like east and you'll go east. So that's how you move around in the world. And it's all described just with text. And there's other characters, other people playing the game at the same time as you. And you can talk to them.
What was your first like?
It's basically like a text-based World of Warcraft.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Seems that it would be fucking riveting.
It was actually
awesome
like it was amazing back in the day because there was nothing else like it, right? Where you could socialize and game at the same time.
See, that's the thing about everything like back in the day. It was so good back in the day because there was new shit all the time. Everything was new all the time, and now nothing is new. There's like literally, what's the last thing that you played? It was like, okay, well actually that's as of right now. There's like a whole bunch of new stuff. But like previous to VR, what was the last thing that you played video game wise where you were like, wow, this is doing something really different?
Every year there's usually one game.
Like
this
what?
This year, I think it came out this year. It was The Witness, I think. When I like started that up and started like discovering things, I was like, this is just so amazing. Like, I don't know what it was about it, just the world that they created and how strange it was. It just grabbed me. And then the previous year, it was probably Her Story. Just because, once again...
Her Story was interesting. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it really sucked me in, and it was so simple, but provocative at the same time. That it just... It's one of those experiences where I was like, no one else is doing anything like this in gaming right now.
Right.
There's usually one game, like around one game a year that like really makes me change the way I think about gaming. And but yeah, VR is just unreal. And maybe you could talk about that because you actually have it.
Yeah, I can. Some people in the chat are talking about Minecraft. That's a good point. I had this thought yesterday because at any time I went on Twitter and I was like, so I'm probably going to stream at like really random intervals this weekend because my wife is going out of town for like a week. And I have like nothing to do. So I'm just going to stream randomly. And I was like, what game should I play? And every time I ask for a game request, Minecraft comes up every time. And I know it's a joke, but at the same time, like, I think it would be super fun to just jump into like vanilla Minecraft I've played about an hour of Minecraft in my entire life.
Everybody's gone to the Rapture, yeah.
That kind of game would be like, for people that have never played it, I think it would still be fresh. It would still be like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, you have to like figure out the recipes for hammers and shit. Build it, and I think the coolest part is just building up your like house or whatever, digging stuff.
I can't remember if it's everyone or everybody. Yeah, Minecraft. I don't know. I tried it out and it just did not grab me like at all. I don't know what it is about it. I guess there's no direction. I guess maybe that's the problem. I think I would have liked it when I was younger, but like as I get older, I'm more interested in like tighter experiences. Maybe like something that's like shorter and like has a direction. You're like has a flow to it.
I get it. You're into tight experiences there.
I'm less into like sandboxy games, which I used to play a lot of when I was younger.
You need a tight experience.
Super tight.
Tight experience.
Yeah, I like tight.
You gotta have the tight. You gotta have the tight experiences.
Tight like a Titan.
Tight like a Toyga.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, no, Minecraft's cool, but yeah. So VR obviously is like a big.
Very dirty. Yeah.
I wonder if I can. Just to make this a little bit more like interesting, I'm gonna put on some like Vive videos, preferably from the actual channel.
What are you talking about? How could this possibly get more interesting?
You're right. It can't.
I'm actually eating my breakfast on camera in my bathrobe. That's as interesting as anything gets.
You're right. I have these ideas. Like I should probably do some Vive like videos.
Why don't you do it? Why don't you stream something this weekend? I know it's hard to set up and everything, right?
It's the setup stuff. My stuff is downstairs, and then I'd have to move my. I could probably do it from one PC, so I have like a 2 PC setup. I could probably do it. Yeah. Anyways, I just want to address one thing in the chat because, Julie Area is saying, I find Minecraft is a lot more fun when you play it with other people you know. So
right, yeah.
So, but here's the thing, right? It's like, I actually disagree with that, and the reason why is because when you play Minecraft with somebody you know, usually you're playing with somebody that knows what they're doing, and I find like the real, to me anyway, real appeal of Minecraft is not the go here, find this, you need to know what you're like doing, right? The real appeal of Minecraft to me is like, I have no clue what I'm doing, and I have to figure it out on my own, and I have to explore. Like, because I don't know what the thing is. I don't know what the point of Minecraft is.
So it's like figuring out the mechanics and figuring out the bounds of the game and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know what? That's actually one of the things I like the most about gaming. It's like the first few hours that you're playing a game and you have no clue what's going on, and you're just figuring out, like you're learning almost. Like I guess I just like learning, right? And exploring the world. Those are some of my favorite moments with the game.
So Tom Hallwerda, you know Tom, hey? You've seen Tom before. Yeah. So he goes, I just can't get excited about VR for some reason. Okay, Tom, I'm gonna talk to you about VR for a second.
Let's come over here.
Let's fucking do this, Tom.
We're in the corner with me.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you've never tried VR,
get a chance to eat now.
You have no reason to get it. You just can't get excited about it. Like, even if some people are like, "Oh, I'd love to try VR. I think it would be so cool." Until you try it, the thoughts that you have will never live up to what it's actually like, right? Am I right about that? Fuck. Fine. You're such a good host, by the way. Thank you for just asking the questions and then eating. That's literally all you've done today. And, yeah, so VR, here's the thing. If you've never done it, you're thinking, wow, you're either thinking two things. It's either a gimmick or it's like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And then when you actually try it, if you're thinking it's a gimmick, you're like, I was wrong. And then, or if you're thinking it's the greatest thing in the world, you're like, it's better than what I thought.
Yeah, I was really amazed when I first got in there. It's possible that it won't catch on though, and it's just it's the high barrier of entry, right? People have to commit a lot of money. Developers have to design games for that platform. If people don't buy it,
which is a limited
there's no money to be
platform.
made,
Yep.
so therefore developers will not target that platform. I mean, it's happened a million times
Yeah.
in gaming before, so it's possible it won't catch on. The other thing is it's very fractured right now, right? There's like there's like two main choices, and then there's the PlayStation VR. There's a bunch of off-brand VRs that are coming out, so that could cause issues as well. I think it would be really great if just one could establish itself as the choice for VR, and then it has a better chance of succeeding.
So I'm hesitant to say this because it could be a total flop, but I actually think so. Everyone's talking about the Vive and the Oculus as being like the be-all end-all of like VR systems, right?
Yeah,
and they're going to be the best quality VR systems, right? But I actually think that if the PlayStation VR can do like close to what the Vive is doing, or the Oculus, I think the PlayStation VR is the one that will propel VR further. And I say that because it's on a system that's owned by way more people than have really high-end like gaming PCs. You know what I'm saying?
right. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So if they do that really well, that will propel VR. That will help HTC. That will help Oculus. And I think these guys need to, maybe they are, I don't know. But if I was them, I'd be like, some way, shape, or form, we do need to like push Sony VR to be successful, because it's really going to help like the mass market understand why the hell they need to do this, why they need to build like a great PC to be able to play like the higher end systems and stuff, you know? So.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with the PlayStation VR is, I didn't know this, you need the camera, right, to be able to use it, and that's not so. Like, I don't know.
The thing is like when you play the Vive. So your buddy Seb, he's got it, right? He's got it.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go over to his place to try it out yet, though.
Okay, so you're still.
I have tried it though.
You're still going based off of your experience in Seattle.
Yeah, which was just like what? It was like a 15-minute demo or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we could tell these guys the story. Do you want to tell the story about both of our first experiences in VR? Do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, sure. So we both went to Seattle to watch the Dota 2 championships last year, the international, and they had Valve had a booth set up outside, like a trailer, with all these rooms where they were doing demos for the Vive, and we went and we talked to them, and they said, "Oh no, you can't do a demo because it's reserved for like people in the media, people that have signed up." Like they had a list full of people slotted with scheduled demo times. And was it Seb that tried it out first, or was it you that tried to get a demo first?
I actually think that you guys didn't you go twice or something?
I think Seb, my friend Canadian Bacon, you guys have seen him in chat. He asked if he could get a demo, and they were like, I don't know, it's all full up. But they suggested to come back every once in a while because some people aren't showing up for their appointments. And so he would just like keep going back and going back and going back, and then finally they let him go in and try it out. And apparently people just weren't showing up like a lot for their scheduled demos. So we just all kind of try to go at a certain time to get into a slot where someone didn't show up. And so I guess you got a chance to try it twice or just once?
Just once. The second time I went back, he wouldn't let me go because he was a dick. The first time the guy was really nice. Second time, the guy was an asshole.
Yeah, the guy that helped me out was super nice, and the guy that I talked to was super nice. But Seb got to try it twice. I got to try it once, and it's just like hard. It's impossible to describe. Like you have to try it out to realize like just the scale and the feeling of being in a world is. I've never like a totally different world. I've never really felt that before.
So just to elaborate on that a little bit, there was 4 separate, and I remember this like it was fucking yesterday, because this was like, I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. That was like the impact that VR had on me in 15 minutes of demos, okay? So we played 4 experiences, and I say experiences for a specific reason, but the very first thing that we did was we played a game called Tilt Brush. And for those that don't know, Let me just find a video here. So this is Tilt Brush, where you're drawing like on a blank canvas, which is cool, but like you're drawing in a 3D space. So traditional canvas sitting right in front of you, you're painting, it's fine. You draw, you build, like you paint like a lake or a house or whatever. And then like that's it. In VR, like if you look at this, you're painting in a 3D space. So if I'm here and I have my controllers and I'm painting like forwards, then I've got a line that has like, you know, you're in this space. You can move around it.
There was a
like,
selfie
see how
death?
this video, she's painting like
Jeez.
around this thing. She's drawing like a person, it looks like. And the mode that she has on is like this mirror mode where whatever you paint on one side, it's going to paint on the other side, right? And it's like you start drawing, and I think everybody's experience, I don't know about you, Luckless, but when you first started drawing, you draw like traditionally, right? Like I would draw like something in front of me and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then the guys like walk through it. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I walked through my painting and I was like, what? Like, I was just like...
Then you just start going crazy and just start like...
Yeah.
Grabbing all these different brushes and just like going all over the place, right?
Yeah, he's like, switch to the fire palette. I was like, okay. So I switched to the fire palette. I'm like putting fire everywhere. And it was just like, it was like mind-blowing, okay? And then the second experience, I believe the second one was the job simulator. Am I correct?
I did it in a different order, I think.
Oh, did you? Okay.
But yeah.
So one of the other experiences was a job simulator where you're like cooking eggs and you can like throw stuff out at the restaurant. It was like, it was cool. It didn't like blow my mind, but it was like, okay, like I can see like the tasks that you do feel real. Like you have to like shake the shake the pan with the egg is in or whatever. And you can
I think the point of that was kind of to demonstrate how like intuitive the controller is, where you're like picking stuff up and it actually does feel like you're picking stuff up in the world. Like you actually motion over, you kind of grasp with the controller because it's got like a trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
So it feels like you're grasping the object when you're grabbing it.
And then there's two other experiences. The best experience that I had, like the most memorable that stuck with me, it was called the Blue. And basically, they spawn you in, and you're under the ocean. You're in the ocean, like deep in the ocean. Like
Soma, kind of, right?
Kind of, yeah. I'll just put this up here. So this is the Blue. There's a couple of experiences, but like you're in the ocean. I actually want to see if I can find. Let's see. I want to find the actual
simulated to be working while being on a job.
Okay, so they spawn you into this situation right here, okay? And you see all these fish, and you're like, "What? This is really cool." Oh, I thought that's funny. And you look behind you like this, and you're like, "Okay, cool. I'm on this like sunken ship. This is not a big deal, or this is pretty cool. This is awesome." And then I don't know if this guy's gonna do it, but you can look over the edge of the ship, and you look down, and you see. At the bottom of you're not even at the bottom of the ocean floor. You're like on a cliff at the bottom of the ocean. And
yeah, that legit freaked me out, man, because I hate heights, and like I was like, I don't want to even go over there. Like
exactly. And you look over and you're like, oh my god, there's a crashed plane down at the bottom of the ocean. And that to me, I was like, what? Like this is freaking crazy. And then this happens. This giant fucking whale shows up. And like, yeah, it's like, okay, it looks cool on the screen. But when you actually are there, that whale feels like it's there. Like it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
And it makes you uncomfortable. Like it's that feeling. When this floats away here, pay attention to its tail. There's a point where the tail comes towards you and you step back, and I did anyways. I was like, oh, you know.
Right, of course.
Here, the video is going to show it right here. Boom. And when that happens, like you feel like you know it's not real. Okay, like I'm not saying that you go in there and you're like, oh, this is so real, I could get lost in here, you know. That's not what I'm saying at all.
It's your reactions. Your reactions to that world are like the same kind of reactions you'd have in this world, right?
Exactly, right?
Until you get used to it, I guess.
You know what, man? I'll tell you this. Like we've played probably. Well, let me show you my my Steam library for VR right now. I have 23 VR games installed. I've probably played 17 or 18 of them. Okay, and in every one, there's like a new.
I don't think there were sharks.
Something where you're like, oh, that's cool, right? Some of them execute better than others,
right?
But it's like you feel like there's something new in every single one, and the one that there's two really crazy ones. One is called Budget Cuts, where you're like sneaking around like this office building, and the whole point of it is like you're trying to get your job application approved to work there. But there's these robots that are like patrolling and trying to stop you, and they'll kill you. These are like life-size robots because they're in VR, so they're like huge. And you're trying to sneak past them. And the way that you move is like you shoot like a little teleporter beam, and then you show up in that spot. And then you can move around in your like 2 meter to 3 meter space, right? But it's like, it's all stealthy, and you feel like I played it for a half hour straight. My buddy Matt and I, we were taking turns, like we had to get to the end of the level without dying. And it took us like probably 10 times back and forth to get it. But when you do it, the 30-minute experience of like pure stealth in a VR world is like really intense, and we were sweating. Like you get into it, you get nervous, you're like hiding, and you're like, oh, they're gonna see me. It's just like, I could talk about VR fucking for hours.
Okay, honestly. I've got a couple questions to ask you though, now that you spent a lot more time with it.
Okay.
Let's say you're so like this weekend, you know, you've said you're gonna have a bunch of free time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just gonna like fire that up randomly and start playing? Or are you gonna play Dota or something like that?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think I get like why you're asking that.
Hey, what's up, Shizzy? Welcome.
So my personal setup, like, so I'm upstairs in this room, and I have both of my computers in here, one for the gaming and one for the streaming and recording, right? And my Vive setup is downstairs, so I could set it up in here, but the Vive for me is more of a social experience right now, just based on the games that are out. So for me, it's like if I had another computer built that was like permanently downstairs, I'd play it probably every day. Like I would play it all the time because it's just easy, right? If I want to play now, what I have to do is I have to unplug my tower. And it's not even a lot of work. It's like 5 minutes to unplug my tower, take it downstairs, plug it in. You know what I mean? But it's just that the fact that it's not already done discourages you from like going to play. But
okay, right? Like I feel like that's going to be a common problem though. I mean, maybe not because your situation's special, but it's like it takes a bit of effort to like get started and start to get into it, right? So like I feel like that's one of the things that could hamper its acceptance, is that people like will just, you know, play a game on their PC as opposed to, you know, firing up the VR or whatever they have to do to get it started.
I think it's but it's not the same as playing a game on PC. Like it's
no, I know it's not the same, but it takes time, right? And it's like based on like how do you want to spend your time? Are you going to go do VR or just continue to playing like the stuff that you're used to playing? And if people stop playing VR because it's a bit inconvenient or something like that, they have to do like a bit of extra work, then it will disappear eventually, right?
Here's the thing. It depends on. So if I want to play, like, let's say this weekend, right? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and play Dota. Fine. I'm gonna play Dota for like 6 hours. You know what I mean? Like that's how it's gonna go.
Right.
If I'm gonna play VR, I'm like, okay, I want to play. I'm interested. Like right now, I just downloaded this Portal Stories mod for VR, where it's like you're in the Portal world doing Portal puzzles in VR, and I can't wait to play that. So like today at some point, I'm taking my computer downstairs and I'm going to play that, and I'll do it for like probably 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. So that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is it exhausting? Like, can you only play for like a couple hours and then you're just tired?
So there's a lot of people in the chat asking about like motion sickness and like if I have like limited mobility or I can't stand for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. And also, like, can you describe how it detects that you're getting to the bounds of your room as well? Because some people are asking about that in my chat.
Yeah, sure. So let me see if I can bring up a photo of the grid system. I mean, I guess that's a pretty good example. Okay, so like let's talk about the grid system first of all. So one of the things that's like the first question is like, how do you stop people from running into walls? Well, number one, don't be an idiot. Like you have to know that you're in a virtual space as real as it can feel. And I've almost hit my wall. I've almost hit my TV. But the way that this grid system works is when you're in this virtual like world, you don't know, you literally lose control of where like the walls and shit are, right? So what happens is as you're approaching your wall, the boundary that you set up, this grid system just like phases in.
Let me just find the link for you.
And it shows you like, oh, you probably shouldn't go there. And it's subtle, like it takes up the whole screen. It's this giant grid. And you would think that would take you out of the experience, but it really doesn't. It's like, it's implemented so well where it's just like, it comes in, there's no sound or anything. It just comes in and says like, you're getting near a wall. So you step back and then you keep going. And I think that that's really cool. One of the tips for people, if you get into VR, if you have VR right now, when you set up your boundaries, what you can do, and what a lot of people will do is, trying to find like a picture here. So let's say that this is like the
Chris
size
is knowing
of
your complaints
room,
about VR. What are your complaints?
A lot of people will draw their boundary right on the edge of the.
Oh right, you can't watch dual on Xbox, right?
And
sorry about that, Shizzy.
That's fine and everything, but if you're reacting really quickly and you don't react to the cage popping up soon enough, you're gonna hit your wall.
Sponsored by VR companies.
So what we did was we would draw our boundary like a foot or two inside of the actual limits of our space, so that way we had a little bit more leeway in terms of, you know, we'd get to that part of the boundary, the cage would come up, and you're like, okay, I got to be careful here, but at the same time, you know that even if you go and you like right at the limits of the cage, you're not going to hit your walls. So you can draw the space to what you want.
Money,
in terms of like
having just an empty room to do
and motion sickness and
is a limitation,
limited mobility and stuff. You can do the Vive as a seated experience if you want. That's fine. You can totally do that. You can still like hop around with like teleporters and stuff like that. But it's not the same experience.
See, and that's like kind of brings up that point that I had before about creating like a unified platform kind of in VR. Is if you don't have like standards established across like the multiple VR platforms, that means each game you develop for VR has to be catered to all the different play situations. So
exactly,
if you want to target Vive, you've got to think like, if I also want people with a Rift to play this, but they can't move around, how do I have to like adapt the game for that situation? And so now you're developing two games almost, right? One for Vive, one for, you know, Rift. I mean, maybe you just target like this sitting down experience only, right? And then what's the point of having all that cool stuff with the Vive, right? So it's this level of complexity that could really get in the way of it becoming like an established platform that they need to work out. They need standards.
Yeah, and like I agree. But I think like I don't know a lot about game development. I'll be the first to admit that. But when you're making a game, you're generally creating like this 3D world
outside
already, right? And so like that's why you see a lot of games that are like, oh, we're adding VR support. They don't have to redevelop the whole game. They just need to make it work within the confines of VR. The 3D world is already built.
Yeah, but okay, that brings up a good point. So who was it that was bringing this up in my chat? They were saying VR gaming will work for me as gaming industry is now. I mean, take Witcher 3. How do you make VR for that work when you see Geralt in there? Are you behind him?
Yeah. So
are you accompanying him while controlling him? Like,
okay, so
I don't think a lot of the games
that
would work in VR the way that they're currently being developed, right?
So, yeah. So there's a couple of things that we need to talk about before we get to that, because we haven't really talked about movement a lot. I've mentioned like a teleporter system, but Tom is asking the question. He's like, okay, so what if the VR environment that you're in is larger than your VR boundary? Which it is, Tom. Like you set up this room and it's larger than the boundaries in the VR. The maximum that it can be is 2 meters by 3
There actually
meters,
is a third-person RPG called.
So, what's the best way I can describe this?
Chronos, I think it is.
I'm just gonna try to describe it as good as I can. So you're in this 2 meter by 3 meter space that you have full movement within. You could just walk wherever you want within 2 meters by 3 meters. Okay, you might be thinking like that's not a huge amount of space. You'd be right, but so a lot of the games have implemented this system where one of your controllers is like a teleporter in a sense, where if you hold it out in front of you, you can see like this beam that eventually connects with the floor, and if you click the button, it just phases you in at that space. So if you need to move around, let's say you're in budget cuts and you're doing like that office building scenario like I was talking about, and let's say you're like crouching down behind like a half a wall.
Why am I a turd?
So you're crouching down.
I was joking yesterday. I think you're amazing,
okay, cool.
Jazz.
The robot's like
it would take me all day to
there.
describe how amazing
And
you
what
are.
you do is when you look up, you put your controller
days.
over and you point at the place that you want to go. You hit the button and then you're there. And then you're in that space. And then you have 2 or 3 meters to work with in that space. And then if you want to move back, you shoot again and you're instantly
Heimdall,
there.
I've seen that
move
before
around
too.
in that space. So that's how like the movement works. I don't know I hope that kind of helps you. Let me just bring up a video for budget cuts.
Yeah, I think I get how because there wasn't the demos that I played. There wasn't any demos.
We did not have
where you didn't move
in,
around in a like larger
Seattle.
than 10 foot by 10 foot space or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get a chance to play with that, but I think I understand like the possible ways to navigate in the environment.
Yeah, Tom, it's an additional layer of movement. So you have your 2 to 3 meters, and then you have the teleport where that's how you actually get from place to place within whatever world that you're in. So here's a video of budget cuts as an example, and you'll see how they move around here. So here, this guy's like he's peeking around the corner. You can see him. It's like you're actually peeking and like you're like hiding, and you're like, So this is how he's going to move around. He's going to shoot his controller right here. I guess they're not doing a great job of showing that part, but whatever. I hope it works. I hope that helps you understand a little bit. But so the other question that came up was about Geralt, right? And like the Witcher, like how would you do VR in that world?
Yeah.
So what do you think, Luckless? Like how would you do VR in the Witcher world, and would it work?
I know they have a third-person action RPG called Chronos for the it's not for the Vive, it's for the Rift. Have you seen how that works? I haven't seen it. So yeah, I don't know how they would do it. Like I don't think the like point and shoot movement, it would be weird like navigating in that huge world in that way. It wouldn't feel like a real world, right? It would, I don't know how they would do it. Like, and all the like the sword combat, are you supposed to like actually swing around the controller for the sword combat?
So for combat, yes, absolutely. You would 100% swing around the sword.
That would be like, honestly, for most people, like that would be exhausting. Like you'd play for
absolutely. No,
like
absolutely.
maybe like a half an hour, and then you just be like, fuck this, I'm gonna go play on my PC with my controller. Like,
absolutely. That's on the Vive, okay? On the Oculus, it's a seated experience. You either play with the headset and your keyboard and mouse, or your controller.
Right. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's right. So like you just sit down and you'd be playing normally, right? Like you'd run around using your controller, all that stuff. But is that gonna make like, I don't know how it feels. Actually, I do know how it feels, because I have tried the Oculus, so it is possible to like move around separately with the VR, like your head and the controller. But
yeah,
like I think who was it? Lobos Jr. was trying Dark Souls 3 VR mod yesterday or whatever, and I think he was having a lot of like sickness problems. But once again, that wasn't developed for VR, right? It's like some kind of mod, so.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see like what kind of effort is involved in like porting games over to that platform.
In my opinion, like I guess the general question about like a game like The Witcher, which is a third-person experience, right?
Which is a lot like Dark Souls, right? Like the way that it's
right. Yeah, exactly. You see the character
in
front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. In VR, that's not really going to be the best experience ever. I don't think. Like putting your headset on, but you're still controlling a guy in front of you, and you're maybe just like hovering behind him, I think would feel strange. Like, what would be the point? It wouldn't feel. Yeah, you could look behind you and whatever, but it doesn't matter because your character's not looking behind when you are.
Right.
So in VR, you have to be the character. You have to be first person, I think, for the best experience. So you could imagine though that like, if you're in the first person experience and you're Geralt and there's these fucking monsters coming at you, not only is it like going to be really intense and they'd have to simplify the combat for sure, but like it would be intimidating because these monsters are life size at that point. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. But I mean, essentially what you're saying is they're going to have to make a completely different version of the game.
Yeah, you'd have to adapt it. You can't just games that are not developed with VR from the forefront. Like you could tell, you know, like some of the there's a game that I played called Mind Path to Thalamus. Yeah. So do you remember that game? I don't know if you remember, but Mind a Path to Thalamus was like kind of like a puzzle game. It was a really nice world, really great graphics.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like we're not even talking about the application of VR outside of gaming.
It has a
there's
VR
so
mode,
many, right?
And we played it when we first got the VR. But this one made me super motion sickness. Like it was really uncomfortable because they didn't have the movement figured out. You would move with like the thumb button on the controller, but like you're going in ways that you don't quite expect. And that's when you lose control of the movement, that's when you get the motion sickness.
Right.
So that game, they just threw it in there and it doesn't work very well. It looks like there's some updates, but I'm not sure. But the games that are developed from the ground up to do VR, that's the best. Those are good. Anyways,
I'm looking forward to trying it out again. Maybe I'll try to get to Seb's place this weekend.
You should, dude. Like, anytime somebody brings up VR, like, I'm trying to explain it to them, and it's, like, fucking impossible. You just can't.
It's impossible, yeah.
It's impossible. You cannot explain it to anybody. Like, it's impossible. And as much as I can oversell it and be like, this is the greatest thing of all time, until you actually try it, it's like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, you know? Of course. It's like most things. All right, I'm done my breakfast, man.
Okay, cool. So now what? That's it. Right?
I think I'm gonna wrap up. Yeah, let's wrap it up. What are you up to for the rest of the weekend? Maybe we could talk about that before we wrap things up.
I don't really know. Like, I'm not gonna make any commitments, but I am gonna stream at like random intervals. I have some recording to do for my channel. I'm probably gonna try and finish Uncharted 4 actually today if I can.
Oh, you still haven't finished it? Yeah, okay. I thought you were done. Because you're releasing videos fast for that, I think, right?
Yeah, I think I'm getting close to the end, and holy shit, Uncharted 4 is like, dude, it's really good. Like, it's like the best action movie I've ever watched.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it looks great. I haven't played any of I haven't played any of those games. It's kind of like since I didn't have a PlayStation when they first came out, that's kind of a series that passed me by. So maybe at some point I'll try it out.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna play some XCOM 2. Obviously, I play that like every day. And then I'm just gonna stream some stuff. I'm kind of interested in streaming The Long Dark because, so not to get like, I don't want to ramble again, but do you know the We Happy Few game? Remember that?
Yep.
So those are developers in Montreal, and I know the owner of the studio, and I've known him for years from his previous game, which was Contrast. where you're like moving in and out of the shadows and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've got that game.
Yeah. And so he invited me to come to the studio and just like check out some new stuff that he's implementing in the We Happy Few, and he wanted to get my opinion on it. And I really liked that game, but the point of me saying this is because he recommended. He's like, one of the systems and one of the games that has been a pretty big inspiration for us over the past little while was The Long Dark, and it's a game I've never played. So I've seen a lot of people playing Long Dark. I haven't seen them play it, but I've seen like the titles, like everyone's playing this game, right? And then on Twitter, some people are recommending The Long Dark as well, and I think that would be fun to check out because I have literally no idea what it's about, and I think that would be really fun. I probably will play some Doom at some point. I don't know. I'm just gonna play like whatever the frick I want to play. I might even play some Dota.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Are you gonna stream some Dota?
Maybe. Yeah.
We should stream a game or two.
Yeah, for sure. We'll I have to drive my wife to the airport in.
Oh, Lexi. Hello.
14 hours from now.
Which is just wrapping up the stream.
2:30 or 3 in the morning for her flight.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm probably gonna do like a late night stream, like midnight Eastern to like 2 a.m. just so
cool.
I stay awake or something.
Cool.
But I don't know. I might be on in the afternoon. I might not be. I might be on tomorrow morning. I might not be. I don't know. I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like, and hopefully people want to come check it out.
Okay. I'm doing the show again tomorrow morning. I'm supposed to be doing it with Seek. You're welcome to join tomorrow morning again. I think we're supposed to do it at 10 a.m. so it'll be a bit later. If you want to join in,
yeah. Well, it would. Yeah, I mean, if I gotta drive to that flight, 10 a.m. might work for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's play it by ear.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Any closing remarks before you wrap things up completely?
No, this is fun actually. Like I don't mind. Here's the thing: is like I don't get a chance to research stuff very often. I know we spent majority of the time talking about VR, but I wouldn't mind doing this on like a semi-regular basis. Just it would encourage me to kind of keep up with like releases and like new shit that's coming.
Yeah, I used to do it every like Saturday and Sunday in the morning just to encourage me to get up earlier on the weekends, which I rarely ever do. So for sure, yeah, I can continue doing this
cool
Saturdays and Sundays going forward. And just let me think, is there anything else? I guess that's it. So cool, thanks for, you're what I wanted to say is you're the perfect person to have on this show as well, because you don't shut up, and I can eat my breakfast quietly.
I feel bad because I totally I just took over there, but
no, I love it. It's
bro,
perfect.
You brought up VR, and it's like if you want to get me talking, like fuck, that's it. You just say VR, and I'm like, well, here we go.
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks again for joining me. I'm gonna wrap things up.
Thanks,
this is Lovelocks signing up for now, and I love you all.
Cool. See you, chat. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. See you.